EuroLeague masterminds meet coaches around the world. Join us at this unique learning experience, which brings together the chance to deepen your basketball knowledge and enjoy some leisure time with your family. 10 on-court masterclasses featuring EuroLeague and EuroCup head coaches with assistant coaches, a World Cup and Eurobasket champion, and an NBA head coach offering top-level coaching insights, advanced strategies, and hands-on player development techniques. Among them, a unique masterclass led by a EuroLeague official, providing exclusive insights into officiating at the highest level. 3 panel discussions in collaboration with ELPA and Weibo, understanding the evolution of the game from the perspectives of players and referees. And for the first time ever, a limited number of participants will have the chance to join exclusive workshops led by EHCB members. EuroLeague masterminds meet coaches around the world. Register now.
We say that our job is too stressful, our job, a lot of pressure, but guess what? The next day the team calls you, you want to go into that pressure again. You know, it's a kind of a love. It's a kind of the call you have. And since we're talking here with colleagues that they've been around many years, it is your call. And when you feel that you belong somewhere, then you're there, you're committed into what you're doing. Yes, there is a lot of pressure. Yes, we all need a break. It's welcome, lots of times, and especially if it's well paid, the break, you know. So, but afterwards, you're getting more, you're seeing how Pablo is doing it, and then you're criticizing him alone, you know. You do it how Sasha is doing, you say, yeah, I'm going to do it better, or TJ or Selçuk, so, you know, you want to come back. And then eventually somebody calls you, and then you get again to that stressful situation that you just said, enough with the stress, I need now a break. But guess what? And I'm referring to you that you're going to give us the professional answers. Besides the pressure and besides the trophies or the journey, we want to say, you know, we interact with so many interesting people. We interact with so many different cultures. We interact with so many different perspectives on how they see the organized sport, how they can become one fist, so we can get out there and fight as a team. And that job is so creative, Christo. It's so creative. You manage people. You manage people. You have them 4 hours with you. But what happened with the other 20? So you got to be that much of influence on them to listen your voice while they're 20 hours with their friends, agents, surrounding journalists, that they make a phone call. Coach is not using you. You're the best one, but he's an asshole. He's not using you. So the influence you need to have and leading by example and try to inspire them in order to follow, it's huge. At least from my point of view, that's what motivates me. That's, I told you the other day, that's what my why is. If we found in our job the why we do this, then the how is following. We're going to find the how, but let's find the why.
Yeah, but Vilja, how about the bumps in the road? And how does a coach or a player or anyone, you know, there's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be times when anyone may feel weak. But, you know, in this thing we have in our minds about the coach, they have no weakness. They have all the solutions. They're practically gods in their teams. And that's no way to live, you know, because sometimes you feel weak. So how does one cope with, you know, this kind of antithesis?
It's a great observation, great question, and I think that that dehumanization of a coach is not helpful to anyone. And then, like we discussed before the panel, presuming that you must know everything is already pressure while you are already in a very pressure-like environment, and it's not helpful. Asking questions, and these interpersonal relationships play a huge role in terms of success. If it were that technical, you know, everybody would shoot 500 balls a day and be good, but that's not the case. And the answer why not is exactly that element of inspiration, trust, teamwork, and the ability to relate to people while also staying true to who you are. This is very challenging, and it's a big part of the coach's life, I think. And I mean, I'm sure coaches have stories, successful and unsuccessful, about what I just commented about, and I'm sure that everybody would be very interested to hear that.
Funny ones too, because Pablo, you have a story about 15 years ago about a coach that was aware enough, or anxious, or curious enough to ask his management of a psychologist. I don't know if it was full-time or as a part-time job, but he discovered the need for his team to have a trained specialist. What happened?
Well, the story is kind of fun, but it's true, seriously. A coach 15 years ago, probably an advanced coach, thought he needed a psychologist to help him and to help the team. You know what the team, everyone thought? He needs a psychologist, not us. So that means that at the end, we're the ones who are taking the, let's say, the pressure, or however do you want to call it. But if you want to solve those things, you're always worried about what will they think. Okay, we saw Chus doing, okay, we're going to switch on this position. How about if the players think, why are we switching? That becomes something that maybe at the end you want to really make them understand that they do it because the good of the team. But sometimes that's not basketball. And this is the important thing, because at the end you're judged, but anything that you do, you're going to get judged. And the funny story about a guy who's thinking, okay, I'm going to bring a psychologist to help me and help the team. And at the end, you know what the whole team thought? He's crazy. He is the one who needs a psychologist, not us. And this is real. So this is something that we have to live with it, but at the end we have to try to get the best or find the best solution for the team.
Have we improved since 15 years ago?
I think that improved a lot. I think we're all aware of this, and a lot of times our conversations about players, about teams, about managements, about anything, about press, it's always about that, not about how to defend the pick and roll. If I go to dinner with Dimitris, and we're not, okay, we might talk about basketball for a while, but a lot of times of the time that we spend together, we will be talking about this situation, this other situation, this other situation, not only about how to defend the pick and roll. And I think that's a big improvement in our job, that we are aware of this situation.
Sasha, you had this kind of experience this year, and it was an enlightening experience for you personally and for the group too, so walk us through it.
Okay, first, I don't know if people hear me, huh? That's okay. The first time in my life, actually I have experienced, adding, a psychologist in the team. Actually, was always some kind of, awareness if, someone from outside will affect your, let's say, job, there, what psychologists will say to one, second, third, which can damage your, let's say, beliefs, in tactic, in whatever, relationship between the players, etc., etc. But I have to say, because I'm really open-minded, in this part, I come, really from the hard school, and I was mentally and physically abused, and I survived, so there is that way, and I know, a lot of things, which is a hard school, which is an old school, and etc. But opening to this, discussion, first of all, I think, with the time, people will need this even more. If it's not, employee in the club, it has to be around, because I think, this guy can really affect, let's say, the performance of the player. I do, even this year, I always, what are my improvements, like I said, in the part, I will be myself, still, some time, till I learn, even more to canalize, the things, which I wanted to control. Sometimes it comes out of, my, let's say, control emotion, which is not bad. I think it's good, to have it, because people needs around, to see the passion and to follow this, otherwise, I don't believe, it just being, nice and polite, can work. So I tried both, and I still, in this measuring what kind of pressure, I can put or when to, back off. Now I think all of people would really like to hear, what is my, the secret of, let's say, controlling, problematic guy, Mike James, but there are a lot of, let's say, good, individual conversations, good, sometimes, I choose, when I'm going to, to go in war, with him, when I'm gonna, really, just turn my back, here. And this is always, let's say, the thin line, here. Sometimes I said, if I, take a side of the player, maybe I lose the group. On the other side, if I, isolate, such a talent, here, maybe I lose him. So it's always, the let's say, the measurements, how, when, I'm gonna do, a conflict if I need one, here. And if I control this, this is, something which I really have to say I'm improving. The second thing, which I think, the benefit out of the psychologist is, I mean, usually, as a player, as a coach, there are a lot of tension, a lot of pressure, from outside, must-winning games, actually from the beginning of the season till the last game, like I said, is it a crucial game? Yes, it is. Every second game is a crucial one. For us, it's really, I mean, a big challenge, every time, to control this kind of, let's say, emotion and, still, be ready, focused with the full energy, this is not easy, especially we had maybe the most games in Europe, 90 plus. But I also, the one benefit I had, the power of meditation, which I never did before, actually really helps me a lot, especially on a game day, when I need really to, to get to my thoughts, to get to my, let's say, focus, etc., etc.
Like so, 5 hours before the game?
When he's taking a nap, usually having a problem, to relax myself. Now with, this kind of, let's say, guidance, I found, myself much more, ready, again, with the full energy. Apart, the other things I also do. So I believe, the psychologist in the team is, with the time, now it's important. I didn't take, this, before that serious. But with the time, also, I think it will, people will really need, even more, not just, players, which are coming from the different, countries, mentalities, and, also, I think the coaches, not just, a personal, guidance, also the way people should, let's say, treat different kind of, problems, with the different individuals.
That's a great input. TJ, I was, thought of you, we talked earlier, and you were an assistant, you were a player and got all those Friends League champions, but you were an assistant in Asvel, and then you got promoted to the head coach job, which is a challenge in itself. A big step going forward that you have to prove yourself. At the same time, your brother is the president, and that's a different kind of complicated thing. And everybody in your head says, okay, he's Tony's brother. He's not TJ, he's Tony's brother. And you have to be very strong mentally to get this out of your system if you can. And if you add that pressure to the natural pressure of head coach's job, it becomes way complicated and way more pressure. So let us in if you can.
It's definitely not easy. Definitely not easy to be the brother of a superstar, of course. And after that, me and my brother, it's funny because when we tell this story, he wanted me to take my time because my dream was to be a head coach, but he didn't want me to burn steps. So, you know, we had this little piece of paper in San Antonio. It was funny because he's always believed in his Spurs philosophy that, you know, all those good coaches stay a long time in San Antonio and then became head coaches. So you want to follow the same direction. And it's funny, we drew it on the paper. I'm going to be an assistant for 8 years, and then I'll give you the job. I'll give you a chance. Of course, he gave me my chance. Mm-hmm. It was a challenge because it was right after Zvezdan, Mitrovic, that was the coach in Asia, and he won everything. So can you imagine going behind somebody who won everything? They're not going to understand why you're getting the job. And for me, it was, you know, it was a challenge. It was a lot of pressure. During that first season, it was tough because I was nervous, you know, and I showed it many times on the court, and I didn't recognize myself. And then it was draining because I want to be perfect, but can't be perfect, you know, and I want to keep working. I'm saying work is going to pay off, and but sometimes you have to learn about yourself. And after that first year, I really worked with somebody that helped me out, you know, to how to manage to be better in my job, but also as a parent. Because working too much and bringing work at home kind of affect a little bit my family too, you know, mm-hmm. And because you're watching a game, and you're like, you're trying to put your tactics together, kids are playing around and stuff, and it's not easy to manage. So that second year, I really decided when I go to work, I come in the morning at 7 o'clock. If I have to stay until 3 p.m., I'll stay until 3 p.m. But after that, I'm not bringing the work at home. And that helped me a lot, you know, to work with this person that guided me, you know, in the sense that I can manage my day better and make sure when I go to work, I'm 100%. But when I'm at home, I'm 100% also with my family.
So I think I want to get into that fine line, that invisible line. You guys are pushy. You guys demand excellence from your players. You want them to push their limits as you want to push yours, I presume. Where's that fine line between being pushy, being demanding, and starting to be kind of abusive? And have you even wondered about that, Coach?
Yeah.
Maybe I went too far over there. Coach Obradovic told me about this, when you should ease back, and maybe that will be the productive thing to go, or the human thing to do. It's a big discussion.
First of all, I think all the coaches would be really demanding. Doesn't matter what level you're working, for whom you're working. One of the first sentences you object when you choose that profession says you're going to win. You have to win. Bottom line, that's it. So from the support staff, you'll be demanding. From the assistants, you'll be demanding. From the players, of course, you'll be over-demanding most of the time. And from the management, you'll be demanding. And it's not going to stop. It's never going to stop. I totally agree that this is a thin line, and this is a very important red line too. But from my point of view, what I see, it's also personal. Everybody, up to my opinion, is a different machine. And it all starts with the relations. And it starts how to manage yourself, or how you can accept yourself, or how you heal yourself. And then it goes to the next one, how you do it with each single one of the players. What kind of relations you improve with these guys, or with your assistants, or with the support staff. Then, with this trust, you have to build. Of course, this has both sides, not only that you trust people, people trust you, and they believe in you, they accept your leadership, or they accept you as an older brother, or a father figure, or a wise guy, whatever. So they are ready to get convinced with whatever you offer to them, with basketball or without basketball. That fixes that line. So with some players, you can have the line deeper. With some players, you can have the line earlier, but that line is improvable. That also takes time, but it's at the end of the day, it all comes how you improve your relations, how you manage the management and players and staff, etc., etc. Management is all about relations. It's all about rules which will help people. So they got convinced to follow these rules. And it's, I think, the worst thing that you have rules but you cannot follow them. You don't follow them. That's a very important disability, and that makes relations unstable. Mm-hmm. And also that blows up the trust you try to build. But these are simple details which really are helpful to the people and directly affects the behaviors, the relations, the following or not following. So with this, you can create the problems by yourself, or you can fix the problems by yourself. It's all about that little simple stuff, but you have to be honest. You start from an honest standpoint, and you convince your people that you're honest and reliable. Life is easy. You don't have that, whatever you do after that won't work. That's how I see it.
Dimitri, what do you say? Because coaching has changed so much. I know your influences come from ex-Yugoslavia. You have been alongside Željko brothers for so many years, but coaching in the 80s and coaching in the 2020s is a very different thing. And in terms of communication, in terms of how do you dictate what's going to happen, what not? What are your thoughts?
Well, it is exactly as you said. There is a huge difference in between coaching in the late 80s or 90s and 2024. I do believe a lot in communication. Communication solves a lot of problems. When I want to recruit a player, I talk a lot with him. I do present the picture in front of him. I open up the project. I open up my heart and I say, I'm not going to be easy on you. I'm going to do this and that. Are you ready to take it? Now I'll give you one perception, and it's going to be probably the colleagues will say a different perception as well. When you are creating as a team, and you have already the legacy, and everybody wants to join that team. 13 years in Panathinaikos, whoever I call, and we work with Željko, coach, I want to come, no matter what. 8 years in CSKA, coach, I want to come, no matter what. But when they say no matter what, then when the problem arises, I remind them what they said, no matter what. So the no matter what is also sit your ass on the bench. Am I right? You said no matter what. That's the no matter what. So you're not going to challenge us to that, as Pablo said before when we were doing the briefing. You know, I'm going to defend that pick and roll like this, and you hear a player, he can say his experience. I'm not going to jump in your conversation, but you know, what is this now? Come on. We can go under on that. He wants to hedge, we can go under. Everybody has an opinion, but while you were doing a therapy, as you said, while you were doing something else, I was busting my balls with my assistant coaches, find the right way to, to teach you. So where we come is to that point then that you need to inspire them. And you gotta make them feel accountable. The players, they need to feel accountable. If they don't feel accountable, then you're losing a part. I had a privilege to work long time in my tenure in Panathinaikos together with Željko and everybody else. Was 13 years. In CSK was broken because of the war situation after 8 years. Then year and a half in Fenerbahce, etc. But 21 years in 2 clubs, that's a lot. Pablo was 10, am I right? 11? 11 in Madrid. So that's in a very demanding team. That's not an easy thing to accomplish. That's already an accomplishment. But as I said, when you create a legacy, then everybody wants to join. Then it's easier a little bit. When you start from zero, you need to put the roles from the beginning. That's why I believe a lot in conversation. As Selçuk says, honesty. You're not going to fool somebody just to come to your side. I had this experience with players wanted to come to my team or to our team with less money. Even though they had an offer from another team, bigger offer, they chose to come to this environment because they see that they can fit into that system. and they feel accountable, and they feel that they belong. If they feel that they belong, and this is where we talk a lot, and actually your collaboration will be vital into that. I said to you now, back then when Pablo and TJ and Sasha, they were playing professional basketball, the team was dressing 10 players. The 7, 8, and 9, and 10, they were happy just being dressed. That's the true story. So they were playing 7, 5, and 2 substitutions here and there. As I said, the other 3, they were happy. Now you have the 16th, 15th, and 14th. They have huge expectations. They're the stars. So how are you going to fit them into that fist that we want to be? Maybe you have 3 that they already have the personal agenda. And the agenda says, but how you coach, and Selçuk allow me to bring that story. When we were working with Selçuk together in Banvit, a player named Şafak Edge, that he was brought by a street ball, pretty much, am I right? From Bandırma streets over there. He asked me for an interview while he was not playing that much. He was our, 14th player at that time?
If not 14th, 13th.
13th, all right. So he comes to my office, knocks to my door and says, Coach, you ruined my career, you ruined my draft year.
At the airport, while having a coffee.
I go like, what? I'm ruining your draft career? Like, you're going to go to the NBA? But the kid was surrounded with so many guys. Before him, it was his friend that he already went to draft. The kid we sold to Fenerbahçe, the big guy.
Türk Yılmaz.
Turk Yılmaz. So Şafak Edge goes, great guy. I had nothing against to say. But the guy was coming with these expectations, not even playing in Banvit. He said, I'm ruining his career, his draft year. So that was the 13th, 14th, that he had high expectations. I don't see him playing at that year, but he was doing a tremendous job of pressuring E.J. Rowland, that he was the MVP of that season, putting his pressure over him, and E.J. Rowland became better players. So I tried to say that to the journalists, that my 13th, 14th, and 15th are very important. It happens something in the practice that you don't witness, that I can say to the journalists, I can share, that this Şafak Edge, he makes E.J. Rowland better, but maybe that's a role that he cannot accept. So this is something that maybe you have this, but there are somebody who wants to go out. So I believe that's the thin line that you have to explain us as well, and obviously our colleagues.
And that's a